Genesis is the book of beginnings. It is a story of how world began. It tells how God created all things, including human beings. It describes God's care for and trouble with humans. Genesis also tells how God planned a deal with human sin and bring His blessing to the whole world. It is a series of stories about the people God chose to complete His purposes. Genesis is the first book of Torah, name meaning instruction or law, which refers to the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Genesis 1, the beginning of the world. 1. In the beginning, when God created the earth and sky, the earth was without form and not useful for anything. Deep waters covered the earth and darkness covered the water. God's Spirit was moving like a storm over the surface of the water. The first day, light. Then God said, "Let there be light." And light began to shine. He saw the light and he knew that it was good. Then God separated the light from the darkness. He named the light day and darkness night. There was evening and then there was morning. This was the first day. The second day, sky. Then God said, "Let there be a dome to separate the water above from the water below." So God made the dome and used it to separate the water. Some water stayed below the dome and some water was above it. God named that dome sky. There was evening and then there was morning. This was the second day. The third day, dry lands and plants. Then God said, "Let the water under the sky come together in one place. Then dry land will appear." And it happened, God named the dry land earth, and the water that had come together seas. And God saw that this was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce all kinds of plants. Let there be plants that produce grains and trees that produce fruit containing seed." And so it happened. The earth produces plants, and there were all kinds of plants that produce grain and all kinds of trees that produce fruit containing seeds. And God saw that this was good. There was evening and then there was morning. This was the third day. The fourth day, sun, moon and stars. Then God said, "Let there be lights on the surface of the sky to separate the day from the night. These lights will mark the beginning and end of the year, and they will be used to mark the time for festivals. Let these lights shine from the sky to give light to the earth." And so it happened. So God made two great lights. He made the stronger light to rule over the day, and he made the other light to rule over the night. He also made the stars. God put these lights in the sky to give light to the earth. He put them there to rule over the day and night, and to separate light from the darkness. And God saw this was good. There was evening and then there was morning. This was the fourth day. The fifth day, fish and birds. Then God said, "Let the waters be filled with huge numbers of living things, and let there be birds to fly in the sky over the earth." So God created the earth. So God created the great creatures that live in the sea. He created all the different kinds of living things that swim around and fill the sea. And He created all kinds of birds. And God saw that this was good. God blessed all the living things He made. And He said to them, Produce many young ones." He told the living things in the sea, "Increase in number and fill the sea." And he told the birds to increase in number on the earth. There was evening, and then there was morning. This was the 5th day. The 6th day, land animals and humans. Then God said, let the earth produce all kinds of living things, tame animals, small creatures that crawl on the ground, and wild animals of every kind. And so it happened. God made all kinds of wild animals, tame animals, and all the small creatures that crawl on the ground. And God saw that this was good. Then God said, now let us make humans who will be like us. They will rule over all the fish, the birds, and the tame animals. They will rule over all the large animals and the small creatures that crawl on the ground. So God created humans in His own image. He created them to be like Himself. He created both male and female. God blessed them and said to them, have many children who will also have many children. Fill the earth with people and take control of it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the bird in the sky. Rule over every living things that moves on our earth. God said, I now give you every plant on earth that produces grain and every tree that produces fruit. They will be food for you. And I will give all the green plants as food for all the other living, breathing things on earth. These plants will be food for the wild animals, the birds, and the small creatures that crawl on the ground. And so it happened. God looked at everything He had made, and He saw that everything was very good. There was evening, and then there was morning. This was the 6th day. The 7th day, chapter 2. So God finished creating the sky, the earth, and everything in them. God finished all the work He was doing. So on the 7th day, He rested from His work. God blessed the 7th day and made it a holy day. He made it special because on that day He rested from all the work He did while creating the world. The first man and the Garden of Eden. This is the story about the creation of the earth and the sky. When the Lord our God had the earth and sky, there were no plants growing in the field, no crops of grain, or even wild animals were growing. That's because the Lord God had not yet made it rain on the earth, and there were no people to work on the soil. So water came up from the earth and spread over the ground. Then the Lord God took dust from the ground and formed a man from it. He breathed the breath of life into the man's nose, and the man became a living being. The Lord God planted a garden in the east in a place named Eden, and that is where He put the name He had made. Then the Lord God caused all kinds of trees to grow in the garden. The trees were beautiful and produced tasty fruits. In the middle of the garden, He placed two special trees. One produced fruit that gives life to people, and the other produced fruit that gives people knowledge about good and evil. A river flowed from Eden and watered the garden. Then this river divided and became 4 rivers. The name of the first river is Fishon. It flows all the way through the land of Havilah. There is gold in Havilah, and the gold is pure. Havilah also produces a valuable sap used in perfume, and the precious stone carnelian is found there. The name of the second river is Gihon, and this river flows through the land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris. It flows east of Assyria. The fourth river is called Euphrates. The Lord God put the man in the Garden of Eden to work in it and take care of it. the Lord God gave him this command: "You may eat the fruit from any tree in the garden except one. You must not eat any fruit from the tree that gives knowledge about good and evil. When you eat fruit from that tree, on that day you will certainly die." A companion for the first man. Then the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make the companion he needs one just right for him. The Lord God used dust from the ground to form all the animals on the earth and all the birds in the sky. He brought them all to the man to see what name he would give them. And the man gave every animal, every living thing its name. He gave names to all tame animals, to all the birds in the sky, and to all the wild animals. But none of these was a companion that was right for the man. So the Lord God caused the man to sleep very deeply. And then he took one of the ribs from the man's body and closed the opening. The Lord God used the rib from the man to make a woman. Then he brought the woman to the man, and the man said, "Finally, one like me, with bones from my bones and a body from my body. She came out of man, so I will call her woman." That is why a man leaves his father and mother and joins together with his wife. In this way, the two people becomes one. At that time, the man and his wife were both naked, but they were not